Okay. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Consultants Table. What a great turnout. Thank you all very much for being here at Consultants Table. Consultants Table is our advanced forum, usually hosted and led by Adele Last, who's joined us today. Hi, Adele. But today we have a very, very special guest. Before we start, I want to thank our sponsors very much. You'll know many of these companies: Job Adder, Airs Group, A Positive, Digipro, and William Buck. They contributed brilliantly to Captain's Table yesterday. And if you missed that one, give me a shout and I've got a sneak preview of it for you. But today I'm very, very pleased to welcome Karen Tisdale. Karen is a LinkedIn specialist, trainer, coach, inspirer. She's also been a recruiter. So she's been in the position that most of you have been in before. So she brings the two great skills together. And Karen, we're really looking forward to hearing from you today on what we still don't know about using LinkedIn. Karen, welcome and thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. I don't know about the inspire bit, but I hope that I will inspire everybody to take action today. So as we're moving through. Now, we've got a real jam-packed session. So there's so much on LinkedIn that we could cover and that could take up a whole day. So we're not going to take up a whole day today. We're just going to be here for an hour and 15 minutes. Appreciate a lot of you will have to go on the hour. I think it's really important because we've got a lot of people attending today. We've got even more people watching the recording. So as we're moving through, if you've got any questions at all, I'd love it if you could please put them in the chat so that everyone can see your question. If you don't feel comfortable so that with everybody seeing your question, just send the question directly in the chat to Tony. So Tony, as the organizer, sponsor of today, he's going to be monitoring the chat. And when we get to the end, we'll open it up and we'll have some questions. So I normally have questions all through my slides, but today we're going to move at a really cracking pace so I can try and cover as much as possible, and we'll have questions at the end. But don't wait to the end to ask your question. Drop it in the chat as we're moving through. That means that anybody who's watching the recording can check out all of that and can see all of the answers. And it also gives me a chance to go through the recording and come back to you if we haven't covered your question while we're going through. So a little bit about me and my background. I don't think of myself as an inspirer, but I certainly hope that my children think of me as that. So my background's in recruitment. So I was a recruiter for 14 years, 14 and a half actually, which is a really long time in industry. I left recruitment in 2009 to go on maternity leave. The GFC had just hit, and I've been working for Channon McLeod for 70 years. It wasn't that long, for 7 years. So I've been working for Channon McLeod for a long time. And with the GFC 2008, 2009, we cut about 20% of our workforce. It was a really tough time. And while I was on maternity leave, I was thinking about, what am I going to do next? Am I going to go back into recruitment? You know, is this it? Am I just at home? I wanted something more. You know, when you're a recruiter and you're so used to working, you know, pretty big hours and you give so much to your candidates and your clients, sitting at home with babies was great, but I really missed people interaction and I really miss doing something. So I started writing LinkedIn profiles and I also started writing resumes. Seemed like a logical choice while GFC had just hit. I could see huge potential on LinkedIn because the 2 consecutive years before I left Channon McLeod, I had won some massive sales awards. I won Recruiter of the Year because I was able to reverse engineer my success by using LinkedIn, not just to search for candidates, but to search for clients. So I could see that how we show up online was really important, and it was only going to become more important. So it started writing profiles. My husband wasn't, in truth, he wasn't as supportive of my little business as I would have hoped. But you know, I was also quite high maintenance. I wanted a 10 grand website. I didn't think that was too much to ask. And he's like, I'm not going to spend $10,000 on a business that's to do with social media, that's to do with LinkedIn. I just don't think that's going to take off, he said. He's laughing now. And so I didn't have the funds to build a website or anything like that. So I just ran my business on a shoestring, and that's very relevant to some of you today who may be watching the recording or whatever, because I think recruitment can be sometimes quite an expensive business, especially if you're running temp desks. I was a perm recruiter, but if you're running a temp desk, you might have massive amounts that you've got to pay out and go, well, where's the money coming in? You know, it can be quite tight. We can go through sort of feast and famine in recruitment, understand that. And so I think my story is quite relevant to everyone here, because up until March this year, I've run my business for 12 years without a website. And my business has just grown and grown. I've spoken to some of the largest companies in Australia without a website. I've grown my entire business and my entire reputation just through my activities on LinkedIn. And you can do that too. So as mentioned, we're not going to be able to cover everything today. These are the 4 things we're really going to focus on. I'm going to focus on job adverts. We're going to focus on attracting candidates and clients. That I know we'll have many people attending today who, some of you may have lots of clients and not enough candidates. Some of you may have the opposite problem. So I'm going to be sort of skimming the surface on lots of bits to try and meet everyone's needs. We're also going to be talking about growing your brand footprint, because to be visible is to be valuable. So it's really important that your recruitment agency, your search agency, is seen as credible, not necessarily big, but credible. You want people to see your name everywhere, to see your name and instantly know what you do and know the vertical that you operate in. And we'll talk a bit about personal branding, because personal branding is all about people knowing your name. Company branding is about people knowing what it is you do for them, and just sort of growing that footprint. By growing your company branding on LinkedIn, by developing a reputation for your business page and your company name, you're also really increasing the opportunity to use your own website or your own name to secure candidates, as opposed to paying Seek a crazy amount. I mean, whoa, a crazy amount for job adverts, or having to advertise on LinkedIn. You know, if you can pull candidates to you with adverts and content that you're pushing out on your company page, then, you know, you're cutting out a lot. Now, I spoke about feast and famine. You know, my 14 years of recruitment, one of the hardest things I found was to just keep that consistent billing month in, month out. And Tony, I loved the talk that I attended of yours yesterday. Just mind blowing. I got 2.5 pages of notes. And so many of the speakers yesterday, from William Buck talking about the financial side. We had the guy from Job Adder speaking about trends, and they spoke about just broad industry trends and how candidates have been hard to find for a while, and they're going to only be harder. So all of the metrics and all of the indicators that are coming out from Forster and also from Gallup, and there was another one, is it McKinsey? I think it's McKinsey. They're all predicting that we are looking at increasing talent shortages, because a lot of our overseas talent have stayed in their home countries. They've not returned. Are we post-pandemic? Can I say that? They've not returned back to Australia. They're not comfortable yet returning, or not able to. And so we've also got a lot of candidates who are contemplating their purpose and whether they want to work in the industry or sector that they've worked in before, and whether they want to work the massive hours that they have before. So we're seeing huge trends in terms of candidates being pickier and pickier in terms of the jobs they want. We've also, from what I picked up from the great conversation yesterday at Captain's Table with Tony Hall, we're seeing clients that have never used recruitment agencies before, ever, starting to use recruitment agencies. So I just thought that was so amazing, because I think that this is, as was said yesterday, this can be an amazing time for many of you to be really strategic about your long-term growth and to really niche down into thinking, what are the candidates I serve the best? Who do I know? And how can I reverse engineer my success by, thank you everybody for just joining us. If everybody could please mute themselves, that'd be amazing. You can really reverse engineer your success by being quite strategic in approaching specific clients that have not used you before and really growing your business. In terms of securing candidates, rather than people just advertising now, given that we've got such candidate shortages, I hope this slide makes you smile, Tony. But in terms of having massive candidate shortages, people are not just advertising anymore. They're relying increasingly on their candidate database. And I'd also urge people to be thinking of LinkedIn as a place where you can hunt for candidates as well. Now, in terms of job adverts, I think the job adverts, on LinkedIn have not evolved to the extent that I'd really hoped they had. And when I talk about not feeding a lion salad and talking about the importance of us each standing in our audience's shoes, audience candidates' shoes, and thinking, is this job advert really exciting? And is it advertised in a way that is exciting and compelling to my candidates? Before I launched my own business in 2009, writing LinkedIn profiles, I was always the recruiter in the office who wrote all the job adverts. I've always loved writing. As Greg Savage said to me once, he said, you're always hunting for the three-humped camel. I would craft these really compelling job adverts, trying to dress up job adverts to look as exciting as possible to attract people. And I was writing them. The world has moved on so much now, and there's so much that we can do with video, with pic collage. And by pic collage, I mean having images of your clients' offices, or an image of the cafe nearby, or who they're working with, or what the team is, and creating a montage of images of what working there will be like. You can do far more than just put something in words, and far more than just take that Seek URL and drop it onto LinkedIn as a post and hope that lots of people see it. This is an advert that I saw in 2018. Oh, I forgot to ask you, Tony, if we had enabled sound. Let's see if the sound works on this. We'll see. Because the music doesn't add a lot of value, but it kind of gets me bopping. This was 2018.
He's a bit dorky though.
Did you get sound? I can't see anybody bopping. You got sound? Nobody's bopping. I'm trying so hard not to dance here, and everybody's like staying still. 2018. I was so excited when I saw that job advert on LinkedIn. Sorry, I meant to go to the next slide, not play it again, much as I love it. I'll give you all an opportunity to dance. 2018, I saw that. As somebody who's always been deeply obsessed with crafting adverts, crafting marketing messages that persuade, that get the right people, I just went, boom, this is the future of job adverts. This is what we're going to see. How many job adverts do I see like that on LinkedIn now? None. We are almost 4 years later. We've got an amazing opportunity. You know, my 10-year-old, I mean, she's pretty cluey. Actually, she'll probably do better than me. My 10-year-old can create videos with montages. My 10-year-old, you know, you could do a Zoom interview together with clients and you could cut snippets of that. So easy. You know, we don't need a television production crew anymore. Everybody has got a production crew in their hand. You know, so I would just love to see job adverts changing. And I think if they don't, I think if we can't get better than feeding lions salad, we're not going to attract the right candidates. So thinking about attracting candidates and moving away from potentially expensive, I hope nobody from Seek's here because I'm giving Seek such a hard time, but seriously, so much money, you know, getting candidates not from Seek, but from LinkedIn, by potentially hunting for people, by searching for people, by creating amazing adverts. And also thinking on LinkedIn of reverse engineering your success, because we live in a time, and this is only going to become increasingly the case, where candidates are kicking back and they'll be sunning themselves this Christmas. We'll probably see a huge quiet time this Christmas. Some of the experts yesterday at Tony's Captain's Table talked about Christmas being quiet last year. This year it's going to be even more so given the huge lockdowns we've had in Sydney and yet again in Melbourne. So we're in for a really quiet January. People are going to come back February, March. February, they might just wait until they get, you know, settle in. You know, things really as bad as I thought they were over the Christmas period. March, mass resignations, absolutely certain to have it. They're calling it the Great Resignation. Google it. So I think that this is a really great opportunity for us to think about who we can attract and think about approaching our clients. When we think about why LinkedIn, I just wanted to show you some other stats that are also from 2018. But the reason why I'm stuck in 2018 is because, you know, as we all know, we only did the census this year, so we haven't had the results come through yet. So when we look at how often people are on LinkedIn, it is just incredible how often people are checking social media. Now, these are mobile phone screenshots. And I just wanted to, oh, I love seeing your cat, Steve. Thank you. I love it. You won't have any cat. I've locked my cat outside and my children are, yay, finally back at school. So I just wanted to show people, for those who are using Sales Nav or LinkedIn Recruiter Lite, you can search using LinkedIn free or premium. Now, Sales Nav has slightly more, it's not slightly, it has a lot more filters. Sales Nav has 200 different filters. But LinkedIn Premium has got a load too. And so does LinkedIn Free and LinkedIn Premium, exactly the same for search. The difference between the two is that with Premium, you get more searches. With LinkedIn Free, you only get 5 searches a month. So you can really run your business absolutely on a shoestring. I didn't get LinkedIn Premium myself as a LinkedIn profile writer, growing my business through LinkedIn for a couple of years. I just looked every day at who was looking at my profile and sent them an invite to connect, and just constantly was on there every single day. So you can grow it completely and look for people. So these are screenshots on how you can search just on mobile. On desktop, it's even easier to search for people. So I think a lot of clients, I sat with a client yesterday who was using Sales Navigator and spending a small fortune on Sales Navigator, which I, in my opinion, not that I've used LinkedIn Recruiter Lite, it wasn't around when I was in recruitment, but I've had a bit of a look at it, and I have a client who was using SalesNav yesterday, and I showed them that on free, you can search under all filters, and it's not easy to see that screen on the top left-hand side. You click on all filters, and then you can sort by location, by industry, by keywords. In keywords, that title is amazing. I mean, perhaps many of you are quite young and you're just like, yeah, of course, all over this. But when I started in recruitment, we were literally going through telephone books and we were asking everybody, do you know who's the director here? Now you can find, you're with me, aren't you, Tony? You know, now you can find all of this information. It is so easy to put into title director or head, to search for head of. You know, you can search by anybody. The industry section, looks great, sounds great, but it's only as great, just like your own CRM database, it's only as great as the information that's put into it. When I was having a look through my own network to see who I could invite to Tony's event today, I was really surprised that of all of the many hundreds of recruiters I'm connected to, a lot of them are not listed under the staffing and recruitment industry, which means candidates can't find them if they're searching by industry. A lot of recruiters have listed themselves under human resources, or maybe they're recruiters who are recruiting in the accounting sector and they've listed themselves as being in the accounting industry. So again, not great if candidates are using this to search for recruiters that they want to work with. And I think and I hope that we're going to see a move back to using recruiters as people go, I really want to find a job that's aligned with my values and my purpose, and I want to trust somebody to help me to look for that. I hope that we're going to see a move back. So the industry section looks great, but it's actually not as good as it could be. The keywords fields are amazing. So I just want to urge people to have a bit of a play with that and just think carefully about your spend there, of course, and just make sure it's where it needs to be. I've heard what they say about us, and I'm saying us even though I'm a LinkedIn profile writer now, because you are my people. I was a recruiter for 14 and a half years, and I've heard the jokes. I've had somebody at an event I was speaking at say pimp when I talked about my background in recruitment. I've heard it. So, and I think that the reason why we get that is because a lot of recruiters, you know, we work, so you get used to working quickly, right? And you're like, look, I've got this role. Are you interested? And I think that the trick to mastering LinkedIn is to go really slowly on the approach, really gently, not go in really quick, especially with clients, you know, just going super, super, super slowly. You may disagree with me, and that's awesome. I love disagreement because it's in disagreement and dialogue that learning happens. And I have been out of the industry for 12 years. But I just want to show you a couple of approaches on LinkedIn around personalizing invitations to connect. So, and I will be sending Tony a PDF of my slides. So you will get a copy of these if you want them. Just check in with Tony and he'll have a copy of that, where you can use templates. So it was in recruitment, pre-internet, pre-email, when email first came, seriously. So when it, well, pretty much pre-email, early 1990s. So when email first came out, it was amazing. We could have like all of these signatures sitting, you know, so every time somebody wasn't right for a role, you just click on your signatures and you could send them a reject note. I've applied that same principle to my use of LinkedIn. Every time I send a personalized invitation to connect, that I think, oh, that was quite well written, you know, getting good responses with that one. Save that, boom, it's a signature. So thinking the same sort of mindset about that first, third, fourth connection. I didn't say second. I didn't say second because I think once you've connected with somebody, there's something different you should do on that second. And I'll talk about that in a second. But I just want to come back to my theory on not being too direct on LinkedIn. I think it's important to not be a lion in the long grass, waiting for a wounded zebra to come along. We don't want to show that hunger. Don't be a lion in the long grass. Instead, think about when somebody has connected with you, particularly if they're a client, but even if they're a high valued candidate, because as somebody said again yesterday, so I got so many nuggets out of yesterday, Tony. Somebody said yesterday that a great candidate with lots of skills is like a house in the Sydney market in a great location. It's sold before you've even made that phone call. So yeah, he's so true. Hey, that's just absolutely so true. You know you've sold those people. So when you find a great candidate, go slowly building relationships. And one of my favorite tips for that is having a weekly habit of sending out 80, depending on how big your database is. But if your database is not huge, and by database, I'm talking your network, whether that's on your CRM or whether that's on LinkedIn, and it should be on LinkedIn for social proof that you know a lot of the right people. If you don't have that big network, 80 to 100 invites a week. You don't want to exceed 100 invites a week. Otherwise, LinkedIn will send you a note saying you're sending too many. We think you might be a bot or using a VA. We will shut down your account. You don't want that. So 80 to 100 invites a week. And once they've accepted your invitation to connect, sending a voice message. Voice messages are very powerful. You can also, so see, these are mobile phone screenshots. You can only send a voice note on your mobile phone. So if you, I hope all of you are connected to Tony. If you're not, please get out your mobile phone and let's all bombard Tony with sales messages. Can we do that? Yeah, I think I got a nod there. So if you are connected to Tony, just put his name into LinkedIn. You can only do this with somebody you're connected to. So put it into LinkedIn in the search bar and then click on messages. And then in the bottom right-hand side, you're going to see a little microphone here. So see how I've got that little microphone? Bottom right-hand side, you've got the microphone. Opposite that, you've got a plus button. If you click on that plus button, you can send people a video. Videos are great, I've heard. I tend not to use video for a number of reasons. One, my hair's not ever exactly how I want it to. Two, I don't really like receiving videos. And the reason why I don't like receiving videos is because when I get a video, I have to stop what I'm doing and watch it and listen to it. I don't like recording them because I'm conscious of how I look and how I sound, and I've just got too much. It's just, I find videos hard work. They're really important. They're a great touch point. I'm not a fan of them. I also read an article in Psychology Today, because I'm a bit nerdy about all things human behavior. And I read an article that spoke about how voice is the most trusted medium. I just thought that can't be right. Surely we trust what we see. And it spoke about the declining trust of written messages. When we receive a written message, we instantly think it's a VA or it's a spam bot. It's automation. You know, I don't know about you, but I'm getting so many more newsletters come through on my email. Every day, I'm getting so many more newsletters that I did not subscribe to. I'm getting so much more spam that when we see a written note, we automatically almost assume it's spam before we've even started reading it. And this article was talking about how voice is now the most trusted medium because we trust our GPS. We trust Google Assistant. We trust Siri. Yet we don't trust what we're watching. And I thought that just can't be true. And then this was a couple of years ago, I read this article. And then I watched the movie Avatar with my children. And I said to my kids, oh, you know, this is not true. Like, you know, this is all made up. And they were like, yeah, duh, Mum. I was like, oh, well, it looks really real to me. And so we don't trust what we're seeing, and we certainly don't trust what we read, but we trust voice. So I wanted to show you how you can leave a voice message, and it's really important when you're leaving voice messages to sandwich. So it's really important to start with a thank you and then to have a small pitch, small, and then just end with a thank you. So you want to go a thank you, small pitch, and a thank you. So I'm going to leave a voice note for you, Tony. I hope you're all doing the same, because I think there's nothing like that muscle memory of doing it. So you know how to, you know, you've really embedded that in here. So what I do when I do a voice message is so I've clicked on message, and then I'm clicking on that microphone button, and I'm depressing that blue button here. Now, as I'm depressing the blue button, if my neighbor suddenly starts up that chainsaw again, which he did this morning, which freaked me out, thought, is he going to do that all day? Then just swipe it to the right and it will remove it. Okay, so I take a deep breath in and I speak on the out breath, and I do that so that the first thing my ideal client or candidate hears is not me going, because that just sounds creepy and weird. Okay, so deep breath in and speak on the out breath. Hi, Tony. Thank you so much for accepting my invitation to connect. Really appreciate it. Look, you can see I'm a recruiter in the accounting space. If there's ever anything I can help you with, give me a shout, let me know. But I'm just reaching out at this time to say thanks for accepting my invite. Really appreciate it. Take care. Bye. See? 19 seconds, quicker than I can write something. So think about touching people with your voice. Think about really reaching out and connecting with people and furthering that relationship. You know, and the third one could be an invite to an event. The third message, you know, it could be clients I found that are like you. Clients that I have that are like you are struggling with this. Are you? Let me know if you want to talk about it. You know, so that's sort of your third or fourth. So thinking about a cadence of touch points. Now, building your tribe. There's so many opportunities to increase your brand on LinkedIn. So many. I'm only going to touch on some of them here. So your background banner. So this banner on the top right-hand side, that is of Mandeep. DataCamp, which is a training organisation, are providing different banners with different job titles in that arrow to everybody who attends their courses. What would happen if you gave every one of your contractors a background banner that happened to have your logo in it? It doesn't have to be a big logo, just a small logo. I mean, imagine how the branding implications, boom. Sharon Crofts, bottom left-hand corner, not a client of mine, but she has attended so many of my webinars, and she would be with us today, but she's got a funeral to attend. I've not written her profile. She's only attended my webinars, and I just love so much of her work. I love her posts. I love her headline, the bit she's got underneath her name. You know, just really great branding. Daniel, top left-hand corner, he is a client of mine. While he is a mortgage broker and in the mortgage space, he only works in Perth. So he's branded Perth. He wants everybody to know, I'm in Perth. He doesn't work in any other area. So think about an image that typifies your industry. And my client, John Elliott, I don't know if he's here today or not. If you are, John, let us know in the chat. I did get his permission to use his profile as an example. On the bottom right-hand side, you can see he's got the logo of the company. So he's my client. I created all of this for him. And see how I have, well, not me, actually, my graphic designer, because I struggle to even dress myself, has put a little black frame around the border and around his profile photo, so that wherever his profile photo is, it just goes bob. So think about that background banner. Look what I did with Tony's. Check out Tony's background banner. You happy with your banner, Tony? I hope so. So make sure you've got a really great background banner. You know, if you're not branding, you're blanding. Make sure you're connected correctly to your company page. So check that your employees are. You could ask as part of your, if you've got a standard induction package for all of your contractors, if they're in a long-term contract role, you could say, we'd love to have you connect to our company page and talk about the roles, you know, that you're doing. You could have them do that if you wanted to, if you want to expand that footprint, but certainly make sure that your consultants are. Make sure that if you're a consultant and you're not an owner of a recruitment agency, make sure that you're connected correctly to the company page. And make sure you do that by typing in your experience section, type the name of the company really slowly so that the logo appears as it has at the top for this Boral chat. Now, the featured section. I mentioned earlier that I have grown my business massively. It's been, I've been so lucky. It's been amazing. My husband is eating his words. And I'm saying, don't worry, honey, I got these bills. So I've grown it massively without having a website. Got a website March this year. I didn't invest in any SEO. I don't do any Google AdWords. And I'm getting about 480 to 550 views per month of my website. And it's not set up for any SEO or Google. And I think it's just because I've got it all over my profile. It's not my objective to drive views to my website, but I just want to give people a place to research more about me. And I think that this is something that you could do as a consultant. If your agency has a website where you're listing job vacancies, you can drive views to that so that you're reducing your reliance on Seek by putting in the actual page that lists all of the job adverts. So think about doing that. Right-hand side, Sam Cousins. I don't know Sam at all, not connected to him, but Olivia Solomons has been doing a lot of work with recruiters around video with David Wolstenheim, who many of you may know, and she worked with Ambition recently, and Sam instantly got on after doing the video workshop and created some videos and put them in his featured section. A lot of recruiters are not using the featured section. I think it's a great opportunity to flag a current role that you've got on, or as I said, your website, or as Sam's done, give us a video that shows us what you're like so I can decide if you're my kind of person and if I want to give you my job vacancy or work with you as a candidate. Now, finding your feathers, personal branding. So there's so many opportunities to think about personal branding. You know, your headline, your about, your experience, your recommendations, your skills, so many areas. And we're just not going to touch on all of them today, but I wanted to mention some of the key ones that I think are really important for you. So your headline is the bit that sits underneath your name. If you don't modify this, the default is that it's just your position title. And so many people in the talent space, I can see that you're in the talent space, or I can see that you're a recruiter. I have no idea what vertical you work in. I don't know what industry. I don't know what roles. How is that attractive and reassuring to your candidates or your clients? So make sure that you've optimized this for search. On the right-hand side, there's an image of Rebecca and Cara, just contacts of mine. I posted something and these two had commented on it. And I wanted to show you that only the first 40 characters, so you've got 220 characters in the space in total, including spaces, 220 characters, and only the first 40 characters show when you're a comment on a comment. So it follows you everywhere, your headline, and it's so important to optimize. It's so important because it improves your relevancy ranking. Virginia, if you're with us today, drop your name in the chat. I hope you don't mind that I used your headline, but I just thought it was so great. I thought it was just such a fantastic example. So forgive me for not making time to reach out and ask you for your permission. But I was moving at great speed this morning, going through the notes from yesterday's webinar and improving things. And I thought I'd showcase yours because what I love about these headlines and about Virginia's is that she's showing you the vertical she works in. She's optimized it. She hasn't just used the word real estate because people might search under property. She's talked about clients and candidates. It's not one or the other that's more important to her. She cares about people. She's got the social proof of 25 years. So she's told us that. She's got the word recruitment, and she's made it easy to contact her by using contact details in here. So Kieran's not a client of mine. I've just known Kieran for decades, I think. So, and I just think his headline, you know, again, he's used the key words that are important in here. John, as you know, is a client of mine, and Sharon is somebody who's has supported me for absolute years. Sharon and John have both used Emojipedia, or an article that sits on my profile actually, that's got a whole load of emojis in it. Emojis don't have to be smiley faces, they can be triangles, squares, circles, that sort of thing, just because it's a bit more modern than pints. So think about something that really describes what it is you do, and how you do it, you know, and the difference that you deliver. That experience section. So 2 different examples that I've written, both of these, they're both clients of mine, that just show that an experience section, it's one of the first places people go to. I'd love to say it was your about section, and that's really important, but actually people look at your experience. Where are you working? What do you do? What's your vertical? Can you help me? Do you care about me? What's your social proof? So, you know, give some people something to read, give people something to think about, you know, don't just have either nothing there or 1 or 2 lines. And notice at the bottom of both of these experience sections, we've got contact details, because you never want to be somebody that candidates go, oh my gosh, this is the person I've been looking for. And they go, oh, but I'm not connected to him, and I don't know if I want to connect, and, or, you know, make it easy. Just flatten the path to being contacted. You will get spam, but you will also get lots and lots of opportunities. So just in summary, I hope you've all got lots of questions for me. Please do put your questions in the chat, and I'll also let, Tony's going to run whether he wants you to unmute or whatever. So Tony's in charge of all the Q&A afterwards. But just in summary of everything we've covered, it's not all that's on LinkedIn, so I hope you've got lots of questions for me. But just think about building a tribe. Think about creating content that's really landing with your audience. So, and when I say content, I'm thinking job adverts where you're not feeding the lion salad, but you're also just being really, really heart focused. You know, you're really leaning forward with empathy and where people are at. Some people they're doing incredibly well. Some businesses have, you know, got massive surpluses because of the bonuses and the stimulus packages that have come out. Other people have been sitting on the bench for almost 2 years and they're really struggling. So a picture of you on the harbour at Christmas time, sipping champagne, might not be something that your candidates want to see. So just thinking about, what do people want to see on LinkedIn, and ensuring that you're really talking towards that. So thank you, everybody. Please, Tony, let's go.
Okay.
Questions for me?
Gosh, lots there, Karen. I just while everyone's thinking of some questions for you, we want some really tough ones for Karen, all right? Want to really challenge her. But Karen, really interesting. There's a whole bunch of stuff I thought I knew, but I didn't know. The first one was when I looked at the mobile version of LinkedIn, it says, introduce yourself with a 30-second video. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, it's called a cover story, and you can only film it on video. And it's really, really, really great. One of my favorite cover stories. So, you know, everybody's got cover story, by the way. You all have the option of having a 30-second video which talks about who you are and what you do, and it's a great opportunity to really give people a feeling for who you are.
I think so. I think so. And I really liked the leaving someone a voicemail. I would probably use my less sultry voice from a male perspective, but I thought that was a really interesting one as well. And a couple of people sent questions and saying, are the free version only you can have five searches, was it? And then with the next, and you can only make a certain amount of connections per month. But you're saying as a recruiter, I think from what I heard from you, is you don't really need a LinkedIn recruiter license to be a high performing recruiter. Can we clarify that a bit for everyone, please?
Yeah, thank you. Those are really, really, really great questions. And so just to correct how that may have come out, whether you're on free or premium, you have limits. Either account, you have limits. You can only have up to 100, add up to 100 new connections per week. Now, I would not do 100 connections a week. I would do it 80. And the reason why I would do it 80 is because LinkedIn works on a calendar and it seems to be monthly. Now, when I say it seems to be, we don't know. We have not been told. LinkedIn won't tell us because it doesn't want people creating different spam bots. And some LinkedIn trainers have speculated that it's different for different countries, but it works out to be about 100 a week. So if you just sit on about a max of 80, on free, you have 5 free searches a month. On premium, you have more than that. I don't know how many searches you can conduct on LinkedIn per month on premium, because some months I've been able to do loads and other months I've had a little alert come back saying you've done too many searches, and I'm like, really? I think I've only done like 20 or 30. So I'm not too sure how many there is, but you do certainly have more searches that you can do on premium, and it's quite a sizable number.
Very good. All right.
Did that answer that question?
Yeah,
do you think?
I think so. And thanks for Rachel for that question. And Tara has left you quite a long but good message about thank you for your search tips, and that she's dabbled already, and she really likes talking about the bells and whistles on LinkedIn, and they are changing quite rapidly. And I think that's one of the learning points here, that we've got to keep up with what's happening there, not just the trends, which is video and voice. And I tend to think video is very underutilized, but we now have the bandwidth to handle it. And I think video adds the personal aspect that just text and voice doesn't add, but it's a real confidence thing for a lot of us too, I think, as well.
Not all of us have great hair every day. So.
No.
So I don't use video as much as I should, which is why I use voice a lot.
Yeah.
I also find that when I've got the video on, I'm focusing on how I look. Yeah. And when I've got the video off, I'm reaching out with my voice to really connect with that person. And I'm actually kind of hammered up a bit. So I might do the whole, look, I hope you're doing all right. I don't, so if it's an old client I haven't spoken to for 2 or 3 years and you really want to hit them up again, I'm sorry, I haven't spoken for a couple of years. I hope you're doing all right. I know it's been a really full-on few years. Look, all the best for Christmas. And you can hear like I'm putting a lot of emotion in my voice, so you're really, really trying to create that bridge. You're really trying to create that relationship. And I find that when I'm doing that on video, I just stuff it up. But
well, it's just practice. I can tell you, I recorded my life's work on video because I was scared that my brain was degenerating too much. So I went and recorded everything I knew about growing recruitment companies in a series of sessions and uploaded it to a management consulting platform. So it's there forever. So as eventually and the older members in our group will know what I'm talking about. It's really good to have things out that you don't have to keep remembering it all the time, and you capture your knowledge, and you can keep adding to it with video, which is really good. But yeah.
Can I just touch on that point? Video is also really great in terms of, so I create a lot of content on LinkedIn, and I'm not a big fan of, I'm personally not a big fan of the pictures of the harbour and drinking champagne, because I just don't think it meets everybody where they're at. I'm a big fan of meeting clients where they're at and of creating content that's helpful.
Yeah.
So I create content that answers people's questions. So if there's a frequently asked question that you get from a client or a candidate, that is a golden piece of content that will do quite well on LinkedIn. And it's also evergreen in that every time a candidate says to you, oh, what do I do about that? Here's a piece of content that answers that. So instead of having lots of 10 or 20-minute conversations, you've got a piece of content that answers those people's questions. So you're the most helpful person.
I like that. If in doubt about when you're about to post something, is it content that's going to be useful to my audience, would be the question I think we need to ask ourselves. Is it useful to us, or is it actually useful to our audience? And I think it's content useful to our audience that's going to get us cut through, build our credibility, and really help us stand out in a competitive market, which recruitment is highly competitive. We've got some more questions. Now, what Ryan said, look, he can't wait to play around with his profile. I had to read that twice to just check what he meant by that, but he wants to really improve his profile. And I think all of us, every one of you that's on this session today, please take a look at your profile, take in what Karen said, and really make sure you have done something with what we've been talking about today. Thanks, Ryan. And he hasn't hit his limit on premium. Is what he wanted to share. So, you know, there's a lot of pressure on recruitment owners to get recruitment, LinkedIn Recruiter for staff members, and it's horrendously expensive.
And I think we've got a question in the chat that's about more search. So if we haven't got other questions, I can touch on that. Now, I was just moving about the room because I wanted to show you my favorite book. And as you can see from all the bookshelves that are behind me, I'm a huge reader, love books. What is it they say? Learners are earners. So I've always been big on learning. They Ask You Answer by Marcus Sheridan. He's not paying me any money to promote his book, and he should, because I bought 40 of them and I send them to all my clients. I've got about 12 or 14 books left. They Ask You Answer is by Marcus Sheridan, is just this idea on creating content and feeding into the fact that people are addicted to knowledge. The more helpful you can be, the more knowledge you can give, the more you will be in demand. It's an amazing book.
Karen, just a really important question here that's come through for you. Gary has asked, he would like some really good advanced tips on searching for candidates. Obviously, this is a really tough market at the moment. Could you please share with us like the top 5 that are in your head on advanced searching for candidates beyond the typical industry and location searches?
Absolutely. So what I'm just trying to get to is so advanced searches beyond using search. Can you
beyond just using a location title, which is, you know, relatively straightforward. How else can we be better utilizing LinkedIn? Gary's asking us, unless Gary would like to come online and ask himself.
I think I've got it. I didn't get it. Sorry, it took me a minute to click. Can you all see my screen? Can you all see that?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. So you can do. So this is. I've only got LinkedIn Premium. So I could put a word in here like, Gary, feel free to unmute and throw something at me. What are you looking for? I don't know. Give me a job title. Can you give me a job title, Gary?
Sales engineer, electrical industry.
Electrical engineer. Okay.
Sales engineer, electrical industry.
Okay. I don't actually know what a sales engineer is. So I'm just going to put in sales, because if I do sales and engineer in here, it's going to search through both of those words. So it's a little bit like for anybody who's skilled in Boolean search, it's a little bit like Boolean search. So sales, I'm looking for a person. I'm going to click on all filters. First connections, these are all the people I know. Second connection, these are all the people who know somebody that I know. Third network, we don't have any connections in common. I always search under my second, people who know people I know, because they're warmer and they're more likely to accept my invite to connect because they think I'm their kind of person, because we have a lot of connections in common. I might search for all of Australia, but note I can put in different cities and all that sort of thing. I can search by former companies. I can search by current companies. And actually, if you look at companies like Woolworths, then within Woolworths, you've got other different companies. And so it will allow you to continuously filter that, even on premium. It's amazing. I've never used search by school, but you could if you were searching for people who'd gone to AGSM or an exclusive MBA type school. Electrical industry, I think that's what you said, right? I don't think there is. Oh, electrical. Would that be right?
Yeah.
Now I've got. Sorry, was that right? Yeah.
Yeah, manufacturing.
Okay, and then so I go sales, and then I go all the way down to here and go engineer. Now, obviously, this is going to search just job titles. This, the word up here, sales, is searching all through their profile. I could also search under manufacturing as well, because remember that industry, often people will, recruiters often put in HR. So you have to think quite laterally about different industries. How else could they have described that? And so that's given me 150 results.
Well, that's good. I was nervous for a while, Karen, but 150 results, that's enough candidates there to keep a recruiter in business for a long time, yeah?
I've once stood in front of 86 really senior people at the AICD. It was one of my first public talks ever in late 2014. And I was so nervous of all these very senior, amazing people. I typed in manager instead of manager, and there were like 160 managers here in Sydney. You can find anything anywhere in the world, guarantee it. So I hope that helps. Do have a play with these filters, Gary, and everybody, because they're pretty good. You know, you can even add connections of. So I could go, well, look, I bet Tony Hall knows great people, you know, so I can type in here different, who's my buddy, Tony McGalley, you know, I could search in here, different people, and slice and dice that way too.
Thanks, Karen. I wasn't aware of that connections field. That's the only
Yeah,
thing
it's incredible. So you've got a good
Yeah.
candidate. Like, we know good people know good people.
Yep. Thank you.
So Karen, another question here for you. How to contact and connect with people that you don't know? What's a really good way of connecting with them that's not too salesy, and it's not, hey, you know, we seem to know lots of people that, you know, together, and it's too fluffy. How do we maximize our effectiveness connecting, I guess?
It's too fluffy. What do you mean it's too fluffy? That, hey, you know, we know lots of people in common actually works quite well. So it does. We know people in common. We share the same industry in common. Yeah. You can Google their name. You can set alerts for when people have on LinkedIn Premium, not necessarily on Sales Navigator. You can go, okay, well, I want to know when these people are in the news. You can look at their posts. You can and then congratulate them. You know, you can, I noticed you wrote a post on this, and it really resonated with me. I really like what you were saying about the Great Resignation. I'd love to connect here and support your posts on platform. Showing what you can give, which is not job offers, but showing that, you know, I'm a real supporter. I'd love to support your work. I really like how you wrote this article. You know, that can really help.
Okay, really good.
Did that answer your question or not quite?
I think so.
I know many of you have to go on the clock. We are going to stay here for another 15 minutes, aren't we, Tony? So if anybody's got more questions, oh, hey, Graham, then please do answer them. But for those who have to go, you will get the recording.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Anyone that's got any more questions wants to type in, or if anyone wants to unmute themselves and ask some searching questions right now is a good time.
Love those searching questions.
Any more? I'm sure we've got Karen here for another 10, 15 minutes if you want her. But if not, we're going to wrap up for the hour. Hey
guys.
Oh, we got one. Who's that?
I'm curious, actually,
Ryan.
Karen. This is Ryan from Wood Recruitment in WA. I operate on two, not many, but two commandments of recruitment that I'm willing to die on a hill for. And I'm wondering what your commandments of your operation are. How do you sort of steady yourself in an industry full of people that aren't always genuine and meaning everything that they say? How do you kind of navigate yourself to stay on the right path?
On the right path. One thing I always ask myself is this valuable to other people? So it's very easy when you're building a business to be focused on yourself and to be focused on you, as in on me, and to just go, what do I care about and how do I feel and how do I want to look to myself? But I'm not my client. So I always think a little bit of Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon, and he's got, at every single boardroom meeting, every meeting, he always has a spare seat, and that's for the customer. And he's been reported as people saying, oh, we should do this and we should do that. And he points to the spare seat and he says, that's not what she wants. We have the data, we've done the research, we know she doesn't want that. And so I love this book, which I crossed the room to get, because it just reminds me that my business is not about me. My business is about being in service to others. And I have to ring fence that because I have 2 children and I've only got so many hours in the day. So when I get people who say, really love the webinar, would love to have a 15-minute chat. That's great. I'd love that, but that's 15 minutes. I don't have with my kids. So what's your question? Let me know here, and I'll drop you a piece of content that will answer that question. Otherwise I have this service. So I sort of, I ring fence how I'm helpful, but it's always thinking, is this helping my ideal clients? And that's my one tenet. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think my commandments, I've almost got two and then a shadow third, but my two are, I refuse to uproot happy people. So if they love their job, I tell them to stay. That's my golden rule. And my other rule is I will not take talent from my own clients. And that's something that should be a rule for everyone, but definitely is not. But I think if they're good enough to welcome you in, then don't come in and steal their stuff as well. It's sort of should go without saying.
And if you keep talking about that and you keep making that the enemy, I think that's a real differentiator. Sorry to cut you short there, but I just had a thought and I just wanted to share it for those that have got to go. Sorry, Ryan. And that is that I do have another tenet, and that's not to take on clients that I know I can't be helpful for. So I was recently referred a client who does boilers. They install boilers in people's home. And they've got a really large outfit, and they were personally referred to me, and he said, I was told by my coach that I should use you to write my profile. We're B2C, we work in residential, I need you, money's no object, can you write my teams, all my sales teams, can you write their profiles? I'm like, no. And he's like, but you've been personally referred to me. And I'm like, this is not your place. So this is an idea from a book by John Jantz. He's got a number of books, but his book called Referral Engine is amazing. John Jantz has also got a fantastic podcast. And it's just about not taking on clients that you can't help them. And now that's obvious in recruitment, but just take on the clients that are going to love you. You really want your profile and you want your content and you want all you work and all you stand for to be a bit like a magnet. You want to be repelling the wrong people and attracting the right people. Because when you take a client and you take them from good to great, they will love you forever. But when you take a client who was never your ideal client, it's not, you're going to hate working with them. They're going to hate working with you. It's not going to be a great fit. So it's another tenet of mine, is only take on clients that I know I can really help.
It's funny how much that third shadow one that I was about to say almost mirrors exactly what you just said, because the third unofficial commandment of mine is that I'm willing to say no to people. Yeah. And I think as a salesman of sorts, it's very easy to say yes to everyone all the time, but you've got to be willing to turn people away for their own good sometimes. And there's a certain question in our questionnaire with candidates where you ask the stereotypical question of why do you think you're right for the job? And I let them answer. And if I know that it's not right, I say, I disagree. And I'm willing to turn them away from the job and go, you're not right for this job. And I'm willing to tell you that to your face rather than for my own benefit, put you in the seat of my client, waste their time, waste your time. I actually have a file on my computer and it's called candidates that fit elsewhere. And I save them under subcategories of industry, job type, all of that. So that as soon as I get one that actually does fit them, they're going to get a phone call from me and I'm going to be excited because I know that it's actually the right job, not trying to square peg them.
Yeah, I love that.
People are so used to recruiters telling them that every job is perfect for them that they're not used to being said, no, you're not the right person for the job. Yeah, and absolutely. They don't know what to say.
I love that. I've heard Sheryl Sandberg say a few times, a friend is someone who stabs you in the front. I love that expression. And Alain de Botton, the philosopher, he says most people don't care enough to tell you the truth. So I do say the hard truth, but then I say, I love this quote by Sheryl Sandberg, a friend is someone who stabs you in the front. It always makes people go, and I'm like, so I hope you don't mind me saying that, Tony, what's with your background banner? And then we changed it, right? So I think it's that tough love. I love that. Completely with you, Ryan.
Brilliant.
No, really good, Ryan. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks a lot for your contribution, for sure. Karen, last thing before we let everyone go. The topic is what we still don't know about LinkedIn. And you taught me something brilliant about LinkedIn. I had no idea. There is an events function in LinkedIn. Can you just give us one or two minutes on it, and then we'll close.
So the events function has changed, and it's gotten easier than it used to be, in that it used to have an Eventbrite link, and it now automatically links into your calendar if you give it permission to. So since you and I set up that event 2-3 weeks ago, it's gotten even easier. And there's something that I'm really excited about, which LinkedIn has announced that it's launching in pay. So this means that you can monetize events. You will be able to at some point in the future, some unspecified time in the future, monetize events on LinkedIn when they're put out from your company page. Events from your company page have got greater functionality than events from your personal profile. So this is a really great opportunity for you to create events using Zoom or whatever from your company page, and make your company page the watering hole, the marketplace, where you can talk to your candidates, and you can talk to your clients. You could be very specific. You can send 1,000 invites a week to grow your number and attention to that event. So you can really be a voice for your industry and a voice for your sector. And I think that in-pay is going to be fantastic, because it means that you get great evolution.
And that means we won't need Eventbrite anymore, that everything can be done within LinkedIn, is what you're saying, right?
Yes. And of course, they're going to get some money from that, but it's good for us too. So
no, that's really good. Really good. Karen, we better wrap up. So many good ideas, many that we've never thought about before. And I'm sure there's a lot of burning questions that people are thinking about. We will send everyone a copy of the recording, a copy of your presentation, and your contact details. Thank you very much for joining us at Consultants Table, and thanks for all the effort you put into your presentation today. And thank you everyone very much for joining us. It was a great session. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.